If you click on this video and you are looking for that magic indicator to miraculously turn you from this into this, you've come to the right place. In the next 10 minutes, we're going to give you that special sauce that's going to allow you to pull money out of the markets with ease. Or is it really that easy? I'm just messing. I wish it was that easy, but in today's video, we're going to be giving you 5 indicators that are different from your traditional VWAP, MACD, RSI that can give you a leg up and have some unique uses that you could potentially apply to your own trading and investing, all using the TradingView platform. So first things first, we'll leave a link down below to TradingView if you do want to follow along. And let's dive right on into things. So right now we are looking at QQQ. We got a couple indicators pulled up on our screen, some things that I just generally like to look at. One of them is a part of this kind of unique list in a sense, aside from your traditional, VWAP, MACD, RSI, the basics that a lot of people begin in the trading community and they learn some of those things. But I want to make sure that you get something out of this video and it's not just the same old, same old. So we're going to be covering 5 unique indicators that are going to help you and that are a little bit different from the norm and the traditional indicators that you're probably already familiar with. Now, you can access all of these indicators on TradingView, and depending upon your plan, you'll be able to get access to some additional features and more indicators and all that stuff. We have the premium plan, that's the highest plan, so we have essentially no limitations in how many indicators we can add to our charts and all other features on the platform. I don't want you to feel like you have to ever pay for something, but maybe there's an indicator or two here that if you're using the free version you like and you want to go over and apply to your platform, and that's great. If that's what you take away from this video, perfect. The first indicator that I want to pull up is if you go down to technicals under the indicators tab and then you find indicators and you start scrolling down, there will be one right here that says gaps. I already have it pulled up on my left hand side, so I'm going to view gaps, and what this is going to show us, if I zoom our charts out and I really broaden this bad boy out for the past couple of years across QQQ, it is going to highlight every gap up or gap down on our charts based off our candlestick charts. Now, I use hollow candles. It doesn't really matter if you use hollow candles or just regular candles. In this case, I have a video. We've got a video already on the channel if you guys want to learn more about candlesticks and all that good stuff. There's probably a playlist and there's plenty of good stuff to go and search for free here on the channel as it is. But what you're going to see is that if you have a gap down overnight or a gap up overnight, maybe it's news, an economic data release, or it's a weekend and something happens, anything like that, right? We'll have a bar that TradingView will now send out and plot on our charts. And so you'll see that pretty much over the past, couple of years, we got a lot, right? A lot of small, we really zoomed out. So there's a lot of gap ups, but what happens is once the gap is filled, and by a gap being filled, we have intraday price action because we're looking at the 1-year, 1-day chart. I don't recommend this indicator on shorter time spans. I recommend it on the 1-day chart or higher time frames, larger time frames. This is going to be a great indicator to give us a good sense of where we could see potential upside and downside targets based off momentum in the near term. You'll notice under the area that we have circled, a lot of these gaps are actually getting filled. It's actually much more likely than not that at some point in the future, a gap gets filled. And the longer that time goes on, the more and more likely a gap gets filled. Now, don't take it as if every single gap must get filled tomorrow or the next week, next month, or has to get filled, because you may look over and say, hey, well, these gaps all the way down here are going to get filled. Now, they very well might, but it's also possible that they never do. So don't assume that all gaps get filled, but based off the history of the stock market, a lot of gap downs where we have a red gap on our chart. You can, of course, customize the colors and all that stuff. I'm not going to waste all of your time with that. But these red gap downs, a very, very high chance that the longer that time goes on, they will all get filled, or many of them will get filled over time, betting on the U.S. markets essentially to go higher. In individual stocks, not so much the case, but right now we're looking at QQQ, essentially giving us a collection of tech stocks here like the NASDAQ to play off of. And so over time, we would see that history has shown that those red gap downs eventually get filled back to the upside. So in terms of like actual use case for you, if we start to break down, for example, lower, then we can look at this green gap to fill to the downside at some point in the future. And if we push higher from here, we'll be looking for this red gap to fill back to the upside at some point in the future. And those will be some targets to watch in terms of potential resistance levels as we push up and fill some of these gaps up and down. Indicator number 2 on our list, go back to indicators on TradingView. It's going to be this chop zone indicator. Now, first off, I want to make sure that you guys are aware of all of these indicators. If you click on the little question symbol right here, it gives you a much more detailed description if you want to learn more about how it's calculated and all the history of all that stuff. We're going to give you a good overview of what you need to know. So this is the chop indicator, and you're like, oh man, what the heck does this mean? What you're looking at here is an indication of whether we are in uptrending environments, downtrending environments, or chop. The turquoise color or this green color on our charts right here, that's telling us that we are pretty much in an uptrend. The red downtrend, and then that yellow is the chop zone almost. And that's where we have a lot of choppy action, and the markets haven't been very, very clear on direction. And so this is actually really, really useful because as, let's say, someone who is a trader or even an investor, what you need to pay attention to is what type of market environment we're in. This is a great big picture step back indicator to give you a really good sense of what's going on. If we're seeing a lot of yellow, we're seeing a lot of red as of late on this chart, that's telling you that there's going to be a lot more fake outs. There's going to be a lot more range bound action. There's not going to be a lot of consistent trends to the up or downside if we're in a lot of yellow, or even if we're going back and forth between that green and the red on very short-term time spans. That is what you need to be paying attention to, and that's one of the biggest takeaways. So this will be something that you can utilize as a trader and say, okay, it's time for me to get more aggressive because we have trending action, and I know that I am historically better in trending action. Or maybe you're really good in choppy action, and you're just making sure that you're utilizing and taking profits at resistance, and you're taking profits at support levels in terms of longs or shorts, and you're not looking for those breakouts because in a choppy environment, breakouts are even more unlikely to actually play out. So utilizing this indicator can save you a lot of time and a lot of headaches, especially if you're someone who's actually looking to take advantage of the price action in the markets. Number 3 is the visible range volume profile. That's this guy on the right-hand side of our screen right here, okay? These white lines. Now, we've got a video on the channel already diving deeper into this indicator, but I want to make sure we cover this because it's a really, really cool indicator that you're probably seeing more of, at least nowadays, in terms of people showing this in different videos or on social media or wherever, and I figure it's something to add to your arsenal, not to mention it's actually pretty cool. So there's actually a new volume profile section under TradingView. I have the visible range volume profile. There's actually a bunch more where that came from, but the visible range volume profile, what it's going to tell us and what it's going to do is it's going to look at the past trading session that we have on our chart. So for right now, we are going back to 2021, right? And it's taking into account all this price action and the price points where we've seen the most volume exchanged of a given stock or ETF, whatever. That's where we're going to have the largest volume bars on the right-hand side of our screen. And on top of that, we have this red line across the middle. That right there is essentially the line that tells you that is the price point we have seen the most volume over this period or this window that we're looking at or this time frame, okay? Now, how do we use that? Well, we can have what is called volume resistance and then volume gaps. And price tends, doesn't always, again, indicators are not that magic solution, but price tends to move faster through volume gaps, and it tends to be a lot more choppy through volume resistance. And so we have a lot of volume right here. So if QQQ got up into this zone from about 310 to 320, there's a lot of volume there, right? A lot of volume to grind through. It's a very, very high volume zone over the past year. We would expect potentially that there'll be some stronger resistance up in that level. However, if QQQ starts to fall back off to the downside here, notice this, there's a lot less volume traded down here, and it might accelerate to the downside in that level. Not to mention back to the upside, there's a little bit of a volume gap right here. It might accelerate even faster through that gap to push up into resistance. So that's one of the things we like to use the volume profile for in our own trading and investing. Number 4 on the list is going to be back over to the indicators tab, and it's this right here, candlestick patterns. So I can select all candlestick patterns, and what you'll notice is that we're going to have a lot of stuff popping up on our charts, but when we're looking at bigger time frames, it's not going to be as much as if we're looking at shorter time frames. But this is something that you may not know is available, but could be very, very useful in your own trading and investing. So you don't have to utilize the all candlestick patterns. You can look for specific candlestick patterns. I want to point your attention here because it's actually pretty useful. Now, we have the BEs right here in red, right? These are the bearish engulfings. We have the BEs in blue. Those are the bullish engulfings. Now, not that we have to necessarily trade off of a bearish or bullish engulfing that we see one time, but what we've actually noticed is that a lot of these BE or these bullish engulfings and bearish engulfings have come at pretty good times. So we've seen these actually come at pretty substantial times in the markets in terms of relative highs, relative lows. So if you're someone who likes to trade momentum and trade the range and trade off of the moves and the ups and the downs, then these could be useful in your own trading and investing. I would actually highly recommend that you start off with bearish and bullish engulfings to potentially signal some potential reversal points that you're seeing in the stock market and use it as another tool to add to your arsenal to back your way into a trading thesis or trading plan around a given stock. Now, of course, you can bring this into any time frame you want. If you bring it into the 5-minute time frame, you're going to see a lot more stuff. And of course, it's going to be, in my view, a lot more noisy the smaller the time frame you look at. I like to start off with the year-to-date chart and then kind of work my way in from there. Number 5 is going to be Chart Prime. Now, Chart Prime is also sponsoring today's video, but I do want to mention them because I also pay for Chart Prime, and you can utilize their indicators on TradingView. Chart Prime's like having your own AI, your own bot, your own computer, doing a lot of the technical analysis work for you. And so Chart Prime has some of the best indicators out there when it comes to trying to predict what's going to happen next and automatic pattern detection. So some of the things we just talked about, for example, I can pull up Chart Prime and they're going to pull up automatic patterns. I can pull up a bunch of their indicators. They have a support resistance pattern indicator. They have candlestick patterns. So they have the bearish engulfings. They have the bullish engulfings. They have a bunch of those that they signal based on their own algorithms. And then on top of that, they even have a bunch more where that came from in terms of their market oracle, which can signal reversals up, reversals downs, momentum, and a lot more where that came from, as well as key levels on your chart. I've pulled up a lot right here. I know it looks like a lot. I don't recommend that you use it all at once. There's also ways to customize it. But I did want to mention this as well because it is a really valuable piece that you can add to your TradingView charts. And these indicators do sync up with TradingView. So I have to add them, especially because I use them, to my list of the top 5. Now, if you want to get access to Chart Prime, there'll be a link in the video description box and pinned comment down below. There's also a holiday coupon going on, a 40% off sale if you want to take advantage of that. And again, like I mentioned before, I have been paying for Chart Prime myself, and I've been finding some value in the indicators as well as their community, their Discord, and a lot more that they have to offer. Check them out in the link in the description box and pinned comment down below. Hope those 5 make some sense. Hope you got something out of today's video. If you did, consider subscribing on down below. Hit that thumbs up button and even share it with a friend. If you guys don't have access to TradingView, we'll leave them linked up down below as well as our other links and resources. Thanks so much, guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.